So I just did a video on how to record on FL Studio. So I figured I'd do a video on how to record on Bandlab, both with an external / USB mic, also with just, regular Bandlab. I'm gonna start off with the external mic one just because it's a little bit more complicated. Before I go into actual Bandlab settings, there's a few things you're going to need. So for starters, you're going to need a powered USB hub. The difference between a USB hub and a powered USB hub is obviously what's in the name. The powered version essentially has a power connector that helps power it so that this creates obviously more volts for whatever it is you're about to power. I'm also going to need this, let's see if it focuses, here we go. This Apple, I think it's called like a camera adapter or USB camera adapter. It's not gonna obviously be used for the camera. We're gonna use it for something else. You're gonna need these two things. You can go with the cheaper versions of both of these. Otherwise, this is, I think, 30, 50, 60 bucks, maybe 70. I don't even remember. And then this is also another 50 bucks. So I think with taxes, they're both around $60 each or somewhere around there. Or maybe it's $100 in total. I don't remember. Put the links in the description for these two. If you're gonna go the cheaper route, you can just find whatever it is that you want to pick. I had a cheaper one before this just to test it out and see how it worked. And obviously I was lower on money. Both a cheaper USB, powered USB, and both a knockoff version of these. Although I started to have some problems where like the mic was disconnecting or just something wasn't working out. So I decided to just upgrade it and we'll go with it. Doesn't cost too much, but if you don't have money, it is still expensive. It's like $100 to $120 in total. You could even go more expensive on the USB hub, but so far, just with these two, I hadn't had any problems with connection or anything, so this should be good enough. I will say, if you're going for a USB mic, a straight USB mic, like whether it be the Snowball or Blue Yeti or some other USB mic, you might be able to get away with just this piece right here. But the problem with that is your phone will be the only thing powering your mic. So unless your mic is like low quality or a lot smaller, I don't think this piece alone will be enough to power it, if that makes sense. So you might need to get this as well, just to be on the safe side. But I guess what you could do is get this if you have a USB mic, see if it works. If you have any problems with it, then obviously you can just buy this powered USB hub. But once you have these two pieces, there's only a few things you need to do. So if you have a USB mic, that is it. You just plug the USB mic into here. All you're gonna do, so with this cable, you're gonna plug it into this. This plugs into your phone, obviously. And then if you have a USB mic, you're just gonna plug it right into here or any one of these and boom, you're done. If you have an XLR mic, you're gonna want to get an interface. This is the Scarlet version. You don't need the dual version, you just need one, like a singular version. The dual version just essentially lets you plug in more than one mic. I got this just because I got a package deal and it was a little bit cheaper. So this is gonna cost you quite a bit. This specific one, at least. You can get a solo version of these for the cheap, and by cheap I mean cheaper than what the rest of these cost. It's gonna run you about, I think if you get like a refurbished one or a used one, you can get it for about 60, 80 bucks. I think brand new, it's like 100 something. It's still pretty expensive. This Focusrite connects to a USB in the very end. And then also, I'm pretty sure most interfaces have this, but if they don't, then Focusrite has this as well. It has the 48, let's see if that zooms in. The 48 volt button. This will essentially help you a lot in connecting bigger mics and mics that require a lot more power. If you get the same package I get, you will have this Scarlet mic, or you could get a different package as well with a smaller interface and you might get the same mic. This mic's alright. I would say it's just like slightly better than the Apple headphone mic. Maybe that's exactly what you're trying to look for, just something that can withstand more decibels. Is it called decibels? Or decibels? Basically so you can be louder. I'm not gonna rant too much, so basically it's just gonna need an interface. I'll also put a link in the description for my specific one and then the cheapest version of this of Focusrite USB that you can use. However, I'm not gonna lie, you might be better off getting the package deal because you are going to need headphones to listen into obviously your music, and it's not just regular regular 3.5 millimeter jack headphones. It's like a lot thicker one. I don't know what this is, but you're gonna need, I guess they're called studio headphones or monitor headphones. I don't remember. So if you just get a package deal, it'll probably be a lot easier, especially if you don't have an XLR mic. In that case, you get an XLR mic that isn't too bad and headphones that aren't too bad, as well as an interface. It would be a lot better than your regular Apple headphones, obviously. And then one thing I forgot to mention, if you do have the USB mic, I believe to listen in, you can just plug your headphones through here. I'm saying this with like a question marky voice because I'm not entirely sure. I tested the Blue Yeti before. That was a long time ago, and it was with like the cheaper versions of all of these. Also, the Blue Yeti has a little 3.5 millimeter jack for headphones on the Blue Yeti, and that's how I kind of listen. I'm not entirely sure because this is mostly for a power source. That's what it's actually used for, to charge your phone while you're doing this. But you might be able to get away with plugging your mic in and then plugging headphones in right here and listening. I'm not entirely sure. You'd probably have to figure something out. Worst case, hopefully you have like the Blue Yeti or some type of mic that also has headphones plugged into it. I don't know. You'd have to figure it out on the USB. It's a little trickier. You should be able to get away with plugging headphones in here, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't take my word for that. But that's pretty much it. Essentially, if you have a USB mic, again, all you need is technically this, but I had some problems with just this now that I remember it. Although it was an off-brand version, I'm not sure that an on-brand version is going to help that much more, because the issue I had was just connectivity and also like this little noise in the background. And that's mostly just because your iPhone usually, or I won't say iPhone, or I guess iPhone, yeah, right, because it's an iPhone, doesn't have enough power to obviously connect an entire mic. Now, I don't know about the newer iPhone, so if you have like a very new iPhone, you might be able to get away with just using this. But if you want to be safe, just get both of them, all right? And you're still going to need both of these if you're going to want to connect a XLR cable, or mic, sorry, to your Bandlab. And then obviously you're also going to need an interface and monitors. So it's a little costly, obviously, but I'm guessing if you're on this video, you already have all these things. For this example, I'm going to be using my Rode NT1 mic with this interface connected to all of this other stuff. So right now you're listening to the iPhone mic itself. So to get rid of that and to connect your mic, you want to click on this setting button. Then you're going to want to scroll down until you see input device. You want to click on that and you should see your mic or your interface. And then once you click on that, it should connect to your mic. And then you want to click out of that and you should be good. I'm pretty sure if it's a USB mic, it'll be right there. And then also, if you have an interface with multiple inputs, you want to click on input channel, and then you can click whatever channel you want. The next thing I'm going to do is just teach you a little bit more steps, and then obviously give away a little preset for y'all to figure out how to record and everything. So a few more things that are kind of important right here. This little tap tempo. This is essentially Bandlab's version of your BPM, as well as the project key in the bottom. So you really just want to focus on the time tempo or tap tempo, which is essentially your BPM, and also technically your project key, because that project key will essentially just, anytime you open up Autotune, that's the key it will be in, but you can just change that, so it doesn't really matter. Thankfully, what I've noticed with Bandlab is the second you drag in a beat, or obviously import a beat, the tempo will already change to what they believe the BPM is, as well as the project key or your Autotune keys. So you can rely on it, because so far it's been 90% accurate with every track that I have put in here. Although sometimes maybe the project key is a little off, or it works but there's something that works better, and sometimes the BPM is a little off. So if you want to be safe, just check it, see if it's the same. If it's not the same, just change it to what it's supposed to be. If you literally don't know what I'm talking about, then you might just be better off letting Bandlab pick what it is, unless it's just the fact that you're too lazy to check the description of all your producer beats and see if it's at least there. If it's not there and you don't know what I'm talking about, then probably just let Bandlab pick whatever they want, because it's probably better than just not changing it at all. So we're gonna move on to studio settings. Snap to grid, you might like it, you might not. Essentially, when you're trying to move some of your recordings, it'll like just move in chunks. But if you want to get rid of snap to grid, essentially you can move your recordings very smoothly and very precisely. I would get rid of snap to grid, especially if you're not going to be using Bandlab on your computer. So just get rid of that, take it off. And the rest of these settings, I'm not gonna really mess with too much. You can do it on your own and see what they do. Metronome volume is pretty neat. You can just, if you have a metronome on, you can turn the metronome obviously quieter or louder or whatever you want. We're not gonna really mess with the rest of these settings, and obviously we already messed with the input device and input channel. Record in arrangement, it's obviously in beta testing right now. Essentially, this will, like, when you used to record on Bandlab, you were forced to stick within the recording file. Now you can, like, see your entire track as you're recording. It's a little bit useful. I like it, so I keep it on this setting. It's up to you, whatever you like better. So I'm gonna drag in a random beat here. Oh, I already dragged in the random beat. We're gonna check the settings to see if this changed the tempo and whatnot. If it didn't, it's because I'm using this in the same track. Usually, the second you open a new project, you're going to want to import your beat first and foremost. That way it changes all the settings to what you need. And then Bandlab has, I'm going to turn the auto-tune down a bit. Bandlab also has these 5, is it 5? Yeah, these 5 new things. Obviously Classic is the same thing. Classic, the same thing you use. Modern Rap, which is kind of weird. It's like, I don't even know. Robot, which and Big Harmony, Duet. I've tried messing with them. You can make some pretty cool stuff with them, but my main problem is they mix it into like the left and right ear, but they don't mix it correctly. So it's like you have to vocal stack it with like a regular vocal, and it's a little too much work, but it could help you, yeah, I guess, if you want to use it. With both headphones on, it definitely does sound good. Also, playing it off like a speaker or something, it does sound pretty good as well. We're going to test out the autotune. Like I said, you can either test out the autotune through a key finder and a BPM finder, or you can literally just turn the autotune up and then just start humming to the beat. It doesn't sound like it's really on key, but it sounds alright. I'm gonna mess with it later. Also, we have it on the heaviest, so obviously it's gonna sound a little weird. So we're gonna drag an effect on here. Yeah. She like the way. I don't like the way you move. It's all the same, never the same. It's like on key but off key at the same time. Yeah. No. We're gonna turn on my gain because I think I'm peaking. I'm gonna try again. We're gonna hear this back though, just to make sure, because through the headphones it sounds like it's the right key, but we gotta make sure. She said she liked the way we move. Down inside my heart, she said she loves you more. She messing with the things that make me inside my heart, and she fuck with me. Now on my brain, she said I'm on fire, my team. I feel like it's slightly off key, but I really can't tell, so I think we're just gonna leave it like this. If you actually want to figure out what key it's in, let me switch to a regular track. If you actually want to figure out obviously what key it's in, then what you can just do is, like I said, put it through a key finder, or hopefully the beat that you have is in the description and they have the key and they have the BPM. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't, but they have like where you can buy the beat or the beat lease, and you can click on that, and then 9 times out of 10 that will have the BPM and the key. I'm not going to look into it right now because I'm not really trying to construct a song, so I don't really care too much, but it sounds about right. I have this preset also for iPhone recordings, or not iPhone recordings, Apple headphone recordings. I'll do that video right after this, so they both should come out relatively about the same. I might have them come out one day after another. If these videos do well, then I will give away more presets. So let's just get into this. I like to keep my autotune at about 80 to 85%. The thing about autotune is it really only helps your keys that are off key. So the more off key you are, or the off tune, I guess you could say, the more off key you are, the more present the autotune is going to be. If you're on key, The auto-tune won't really sound that present even if you're at 85% compared to someone who's off key, or like me talking regularly right now. Because I'm talking, I'm not really trying to sing in key, I'm just talking. That's why you can hear the auto-tune quite a bit. Rather, if you're singing, you tend to hear it a lot less at this percentage. So 85 might sound like a lot, but it's not really a lot as long as you're somewhat good at singing. Obviously, you're probably not even singing, you're probably just rapping, so it doesn't really matter too much. So here's what you're gonna do. It's a pretty simple preset. We only have 8 effects on here. Alright, here's what we'll do. I turned off everything except for the effects that we put on. So we'll turn on the effects bit by bit so you can kind of hear what the effects do. This compressor will essentially just bring out your vocals more and make your louder ones kind of sound on somewhat of the same level as all the rest of your vocals. And we'll move on to the noise gate here. Noise gate is pretty simple. It just eliminates noise and background noise. Threshold is the main button that you really want to focus on. You can also focus on the attack and release, but it's mostly just a threshold. So if you copy my noise gate settings but you can't hear your voice, or your voice keeps fading out, then either turn up your gain on your mic or you can just turn the threshold down, whatever works best. Next thing is a de-esser. It's kind of what's in the name. It gets rid of your sounds. With and without, you hear the difference. And then next is a EQ. It's just an equalizer. It kind of just brings out your vocals. So this is with it, and then this is without it. You can't really hear it too much while talking, but you know, it does its job. Essentially, this one is just going to bring out your highs and then help your mids a bit. You can turn this up accordingly, and you can mess with it as well accordingly to your voice. I don't really mess with it too much because we have another equalizer after this. And we have a delay. You can hear it. Essentially just a delay, like an echo type thing. You just want to copy the settings here. Dry level is always going to be your regular vocals, while wet is like a more reverby sound. Volume will just make it louder or quieter. So this is the other EQ I was talking about. Oh my god, that jump scared me. Yeah, it's a lot louder now. This is to mess with your actual EQ and settings. The reason why it gets a lot louder is at the very bottom. I'm gonna turn this down for now because I don't want to get ear raped, but these are the settings. Just copy these. Some people keep this at, I'm on backup, so it's not that loud. Some people keep it at 15. It's up to you. I'm gonna keep it at 12.5 just because at 15 sometimes it's too loud and it's a little bit too much work to figure out where to like put the volume and mess with the volumes and all that stuff. So I just keep it at 12.5. The next scene is obviously your reverb. You can hear it now. You just want to copy these settings. Essentially size is like obviously the size of the reverb, like size of the room, so how big you want the reverb to be. Your mix is essentially kind of like the wet in a sense, and then tone is kind of your dry, but not really. They just don't have the settings that you really need. I know Bandlab tries to make it as simple as possible, but simple for reverb really is just dry, wets, and presence. So if they can just do that, also size, then it will be fine. Another compressor is what it sounds like. It brings out your vocals more than just having the reverb there. But those are the gist of the settings, and you can kind of just, you know, mess around, use them however you like. I don't have a lot of presets anymore. I used to have a ton, like it was just stacked with presets, but I got rid of them one by one. One, because I started switching from Apple headphone mics to an actual mic, and obviously the mixing is going to be completely different. And then two, because a lot of the presets sounded kind of similar. So obviously I just started getting rid of the ones that sounded very similar. But I do have a lot of cool Adlib presets. Should we give you an Adlib preset? We'll do an Adlib preset, why not? She said she lied away with me. Down inside my heart, she said she loves me. She messing with the things that make me side of my heart and she followed me. Now I'm my brother, she said I'm on fire, my team, for my team. Gotta have fun with that shit. She said she lied away with me. Down inside my heart, she said she loves me. She messing with the things that